Wayward Pines, a graphic novel adaptation created by Gravitas Dream. Ethan wakes beneath towering pines with no memory of how he arrived there. The forest feels silent in a way that makes him uneasy rather than calm. He searches his pockets and finds unfamiliar objects that suggest an official life he cannot remember. Each item feels important, yet meaningless without context. Following a gravel road, he reaches a town that looks welcoming and carefully maintained. The absence of people makes the place feel artificial, like a set waiting for actors. A sudden migraine distorts his vision and leaves him gripping a street sign for balance. The pain fades, but the sense of unreality lingers. In a narrow alley, he encounters something that looks human at first, then resolves into a metal grill stamped with letters. The moment shakes his confidence in his own perception. At the edge of town, he finds signs of a crash and fragmented memories of headlights and impact. He realizes he survived something violent, even if the details are missing. He reaches a small hospital and demands help, and answers. The staff appear calm, efficient, and strangely unsurprised by his arrival. A nurse observes him closely from behind the counter, her smile practiced and distant. She moves as though following a script he cannot see. Ethan wakes in a hospital bed with bandages and a pounding head. Time feels slippery, as if hours or days have been removed. The nurse avoids direct answers and redirects his questions with rehearsed ease. When he asks for a phone, the conversation loops without resolution. The town sheriff reviews a thin case file under harsh light. His expression suggests control rather than curiosity. Ethan leaves the hospital wearing borrowed clothes and feeling exposed. Even in daylight, he senses unseen boundaries closing around him. At a phone booth, he dials familiar numbers that lead nowhere. The silence on the line feels deliberate rather than broken. He studies his identification and finally recognizes his own name. Memory returns in pieces, sharp but incomplete. Inside the sheriff's office, he waits while studying neat notices pinned to the wall. The orderliness feels oppressive instead of reassuring. The sheriff explains that the accident is resolved and discourages further questions. An apology follows, hollow and poorly timed. Walking the streets, Ethan notices how perfect the houses and lawns appear. The normalcy feels exaggerated, as if meant to distract. In a modest kitchen, Beverly hesitates before offering medicine. Her kindness seems genuine, but fear flickers beneath it. Ethan reaches her porch and knocks, fighting waves of pain. His body feels compromised in ways he cannot explain. Beverly watches the street carefully before letting him inside. Trust in this town appears dangerous. At a motel counter, Ethan realizes he cannot pay for a room. Being stranded without money sharpens his sense of vulnerability. A sudden bite on his leg swells painfully, adding to his confusion. He forces himself to keep moving, despite the discomfort. Overwhelmed, he lies on the sidewalk and stares at the sky. The town remains quiet, as if choosing not to notice him. Beverly makes a hurried call from a payphone, scanning the road. Urgency seeps into her voice despite her controlled tone. Ethan wakes once again in a hospital bed, disoriented by the repetition. Each awakening feels less like recovery and more like reset. Far away, Teresa buries a ring in the ground and covers it carefully. The ritual stands in for answers she does not have. At her kitchen table, Teresa organizes notes and photographs late into the night. Grief drives her to search rather than rest. Ben sits alone at a desk, drawing fences around a house. His quiet focus suggests fear he cannot name. In a hidden control room, Pilcher watches banks of monitors without emotion. The town's activity appears to unfold exactly as intended. At a block party, Kate smiles beneath string lights while scanning the crowd. Her expression suggests performance rather than joy. Ethan catches sight of Kate and feels a surge of recognition. He knows she understands the town better than she admits. Kate hides a handwritten note before anyone can see it. Secrets here must be concealed quickly to survive. A missing agent navigates the forest using a map and compass. The terrain feels hostile, as if resisting escape. The sheriff locks away evidence with calm finality. His confidence suggests outcomes are already decided. Ethan finds the pharmacy locked and pristine. Even basic necessities seem selectively available. In a parking lot, his car is gone, leaving only an empty space. The realization deepens his isolation. The truck driver sits alone, rehearsing a story he does not believe. Exhaustion hangs over him like guilt. The sheriff prepares an interrogation room with methodical precision. The routine feels practiced rather than investigative. Ethan sits under harsh light and measures every word. He understands that honesty may be as dangerous as silence. The nurse stands watch in the hallway, keys always within reach. Control here is subtle but constant. Ethan slips through the hospital and takes a key card without drawing attention. He moves as if he belongs, hoping no one challenges it. Beverly opens a first aid kit and lays out supplies with care. Her hands are steady, her eyes less so. Ethan examines a raised spot beneath his skin and feels something unnatural. Fear replaces doubt as understanding begins to form. Beverly removes a tiny device and stares at it in disbelief. The truth arrives without explanation. Ethan wraps his leg and stares at the device sealed in glass. The idea of being tracked turns his fear into anger. Hiding in an alley, he listens for footsteps that never come. The silence feels observant, rather than empty. A figure in a yellow poncho stands under a streetlight, holding a knife. The stillness of the pose sends Ethan retreating into shadow. At the town's edge, Ethan discovers a towering, electrified fence. The boundary transforms the town into a cage. A trapped boy peers through boards, eyes pleading without sound. The image confirms that escape is not simple. A solitary child draws a rough map in the dirt and erases it quickly. Guidance here is fleeting and dangerous. Ethan memorizes the map and follows its direction without hesitation. Trusting a child feels safer than trusting the town. Beyond the fence, a pale creature watches with unblinking eyes and inhuman proportions. The sight redefines the cost of leaving. In an underground lab, Pilcher studies the creatures without emotion. Horror becomes data under his gaze. Ethan hides in the forest, trying to steady his breath. The fence and the creatures erase any hope of running. He finds a hidden tunnel and descends into cold, concrete corridors. The town's true shape begins to reveal itself. Inside a vast complex, machines hum around capsule-like pods. The scale of the operation overwhelms him. Pilcher explains the experiment and the future it was built to protect. Survival, not freedom, is the guiding principle. Pilcher offers Ethan authority in exchange for obedience. Leadership here is framed as necessity, rather than choice. Ethan puts on the sheriff's uniform and stares at his reflection. Acceptance feels like surrender, dressed as purpose. Teresa arrives in town, carrying both hope and dread. When she sees Ethan again, the distance collapses into relief.